Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, all the housekeeping notes. All the product I'm using and all the dimensions are listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products. There is a link to our Facebook group. We love to have you join that. My email address is there if you have any questions. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. Today we're going to be playing with painted lavender. This is the time of year when before the new catalog comes out, I like to play with some of my favorite products, especially if they're on the chopping block and are going to be leaving us. And I will tell you which products are on the last chance list at the time I was filming this. Painted lavender is going, and we're going to be using that. We're using some of the stamps and dies, and the whole bundle is going. We're going to be using Everyday Arches. We're using one of the arches out of this, and we are using, I've already die cut it. It is the 5th one from the outside, and that's the one we're going to be using. I have already die cut it. This is on the online store, not leaving. And Cheerful Daisies. I wanted this verse right here, wishing you the brightest birthday, and the die that cuts it out. This is also leaving us. It's retiring. So first we're going to do is do some stamping. But you're saying, what in the world are we making? So I'm going to show you. Oh, and I could tell right now I forgot to get a stamp out. I'll do that right before we get started. We're doing a little card, and this is the card we're making. This is a center easel fold. And it goes like this. It stands up very beautiful. A little place to write here. If you need more space, you could put another piece of paper on the back and write more on the back. But it stands up really beautiful. Makes a beautiful display for a desk or a mantle. So that is what we're making. And as you can tell, there, I don't know if you can see that. I think you might be able to. There's a lot of Winkostella on this. So let's get started. Let me set that off to the side. And we're going to start with a very large piece of white. You don't need this much white. I just grabbed a piece, and I got a couple small pieces. I'm going to put the sentiment on one separately. And an envelope. And the stamp I forgot to get out of the box, which is this one. And we are going to need a mat. And there. So we're using 4 colors today. We are using Highland Heather, Gorgeous Grape, Lost Lagoon, and Bubble Bath. So I don't have to get the card out here so I can look at it. I don't remember what colors I put in white. I decided it the other day. So we're going to start with our sentiment. I'm just doing this so I have it on a separate piece of paper. You don't have to. You can do it on another. It doesn't matter. You can do this on little pieces of scrap. So the sentiment is going in Gorgeous Grape. I'm just going to put it right in the middle there so I can die cut it easily. Set that off to the back. Now also out of Gorgeous Grape, we're going to do this big bunch here. We're going to be die cutting these so they can go anywhere on the paper. Ooh, I did the wrong color. This is not Gorgeous Grape. Sorry. It's Highland Heather. That is way too dark. Hey, it's early morning. I'm filming. And I do make mistakes just like everybody else. Now, if you want yours that dark, you could do it that dark. I don't. I want to do it out of Highland Heather. And you'll see why in just a second. Much lighter. Okay, so we need that out of Highland Heather. We need this out of Bubble Bath. And I know I'm stamping upside down. It doesn't matter. Just like that. And then out of Lost Lagoon, we're going to do stalks. We're going to make 2 stalks. Like that. And then the last thing we need to stamp is our envelope. Make sure it's going the right way. And I want to do that one out of Highland Heather. But you could do any of these colors, mix and match. You could put fresh freesia in with this if you wanted, it would work. But I liked this color combination. So I'm going to move a few things out of my way because we need to do some die cutting now. Now I'm bringing out the big one because besides die cutting, we need to emboss our arch that we made. If you hang on here for just a second, I am moving some stamp blocks out of the way so I have a little more room behind there. So why don't we start with our only embossing on this? And we are going to be using the Timber, but you could use whatever you have. But I wanted to use the Timber Embossing 3D folder. It's also retiring. It's on the last chance list. And like I said, I've already cut out my arch. Now, I'm looking at the pattern, and I want my pattern to go up and down on this arch, so I'm going to put it in this direction. And I want to get fairly straight in there. So with a 3D, you're going to need a plate 1, your embossing folder with your embossed item, and a plate 4. And you don't see much of this, but the little bit you do see, it's nice because it doesn't have just a stark white. It's got some pattern to it. And that is all the embossing we're going to be doing. The next thing we're going to be doing is some die cutting. So I have plate 1, 2, and 2 plate 3s. My plate's gotten it's not this one. This one's got an award. So we have to flip it around too. So I have die cut a few things already. So let me get my pieces out here. Get to show you what I have die cut. As soon as I pick them up. These I've already die cut. There is this die in here. And what it does, it cuts out 2 different sprigs at one time. And I wanted one each color, so I made one for that one. And here's the ones for this one. So that's already done for us. So next, we need, make sure I don't grab the wrong pieces here. Just one moment. Moving things we don't need. Okay, this is a piece of Lost Lagoon. And I want 2 of these sprigs. So I'm going to, and I'm actually going to cut this up a little bit. You don't need to if you want to do one at a time, or, you know, but I want to cut out as much stuff through one pass as I can. So we'll need that. And I have Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape, and there's another die in here. And it's this one here. We need 1 out of that. We'll need 1 out of Highland Heather as well. And I'm going to go ahead and throw our sentiment on here as well. And I'm going to use a piece of Post-it tape to hold this in place. So I want to make sure my sentiment is straight as I can get it. Just like that. And if your paper overlaps, that's fine, as long as there's no die underneath of it. So we'll do this spread 3 first. And you could pile more on there if you wanted, but I know I have to run several of these through twice, so. So first is our sentiment, which turned out very beautiful. And here is our little sprig out of Gorgeous Grape. And I believe that was all we needed to cut out of Gorgeous Grape. Like I said, it was a big piece, but you know, it's still good for other stuff. And this is our branch. And we'll get the rest of the pieces out as we go. Just make sure there's nothing in your die. So we need another one of these out of this color. I'm going to take this one and just whack off in a little piece. Actually, I'm going to whack some off this. We're going to try to get more on this one this time. You don't need to sit and watch me cut all these. And I have enough room right there, so right alongside those other flowers I punched. So we'll put that there. And then we need the things we stamped. So I am just gonna whack away a little of this paper here. Things we don't need. So we can cut that one out. And we'll cut one of these out. And then we'll come back and cut the last two out. So we have this one here. And these ones that I did stamp, I am holding down because like I said, my plates are bowed. I do even when the plates aren't bowed. I figured I've either stamped it or colored it once. And then there's this one here, odd little shape. And this one, let me grab another piece of tape. Where did it go? When you're looking through here, there's 3 holes in the bottom, and there's 3 long stalks there. If you look through those as you're lining this up, there, we got that one on there, especially that out one side one right here. Then I know, oh, until I move it with my own hand and look at the top, you pretty much got it lined up. I'm looking at that one to make sure I've got that stalk right there on the side, right in that hole. Okay, take this one off here. Save that because we've got to make another one. And there's that perfectly cut out. Boy, I set my garbage can. I set it way too far away from me this time. Here's our beautiful bunch of lavender. Oh, we'll get that poked out in just a second. And nothing in that. And here is our next green piece. We'll move on to the other pieces and get them cut out real fast. We have 2 more. We have our green again. And all these pieces, if you were not embossing, you could do these on the mini machine. All the pieces would fit. But I needed to bring this out for the embossing, so I'm just lining that up like I did before. And the last one is this one here. Line that up, and one more trip, and then we should be all done. another stock. Here we will. Shasta's in here. She's right next to me on her blanket. And she just looked at me like, what are you doing? She's watching everything that drops into that garbage can. Okay. This one's stuck in here. It's pretty easy to get it out. Just like that. But you do need to make sure that when you are done, I'm not going to do them with all these right now, but when you're done, before you put your dies away, make sure that your dies are clean before you put them away. That way, the next time you go to use them, you don't have something, you know, mess up your die cutting. Because by the time next time you use them, you probably will have forgotten. Got a couple pieces here that's stuck in here of the Lost Lagoon branches. And that, let's see if I've got any, I didn't poke anything out of these, so I want to make sure they were done. Yep, they are. So we've got all of our sprigs over here, our branches and our leaves, our arch and our sentiment. Setting those off to one side. Because now we're going to work on the card base. So what you're going to need is a piece of Lost Lagoon that is 8.5 by 5.5. And I'm going to grab me a little sip here real fast. And you're going to need your cutting board. Now I've already scored this at 5.5. Okay. So I'm just going to, I'm not burnishing it yet. I'm just giving a little fold so I can see it a little easier. And I'm going to put this into my machine. I'm going to grab my instructions that I wrote out so I don't make a mistake. And we're going to cut at 1 inch down to the, I said 5.5. It's 4 1/4. You guys know what I was talking about. Paper's 8.5 by 5.5. We scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to come over here to thick, and I'm going to turn this a little bit so it's easier for me to see what I'm doing. There's nothing says this cutting board has to be straight up and down, front to back. It could be upside down if you wanted it. So I can see right there, I'm at the 1 inch on this side, and I can see my 4 1/4. Except what you need to do before you do that is make sure your cutting blade's at the top. There we go. And then we're going to cut right down to that 4 1/4. And when you get to that score line, you actually will feel it too. Should be right there. Perfect. So on this side, I'm just going to use the one on this side. Line it right up at 1 inch. Now I'm right at the 4 1/4. So I'm just going to drop it down and come back up. And it's perfect. So we have 2 little wings like that. Now we're not done with this yet. We are going to use the scoring on this. Fold these 2 down like this. So you have just this piece here. Put it in the machine and you're going to come to 2 1/8. I want to make sure, yeah, 2 1/8. And we are going to score this piece right here at 2 1/8. 2 1/8. So what you look like is you got 2 wings and a little folded piece here. Okay? Now we will burnish. Go gentle on these little side pieces. And look at this center piece here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue these 2 side pieces down. And please tell me I didn't make a mistake. I did. I set this as 1 3/4 instead of 1 inch. Do you believe that? I do. Well, we'll use that for something else. Let's go again. Like I said, I'm human. I make mistakes. And so let me get a new piece and let's start over. See, don't do what I do. Do it the right way. But if you do, it's fine because we're human and we make mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 5 1/2. Flip it over and score at 4 1/4. there. Then I'm going to come up here. I'm just going to, the reason I just fold it lightly is just a little easier for me to see in the machine. Move all of our blades up to the top, and we're going to cut at 1 inch. Yes, I'm on the 1 inch. And we're going to cut down to 4 1/4. Then I'm going to come over here to 1 inch. And cut back up. Perfect. That looks much better now. I'm going to fold these two down and put this back in the trimmer and move this over here and score it at 2 1/8. Like that. Now we're back to where we were. Sorry about that. No, I don't edit my videos, so if I make a mistake, you get to see it. But don't worry, there's lots of scrap in that. I can make something, use something else for that. So it'll be just fine. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is just checking myself. We're going to take and glue these down. Now you could use seal if you wanted. I prefer glue. I want to make sure I get enough, but we don't want to oversaturate it. And make sure it comes down nice and straight. Making sure I got enough on the end here where it could catch on something. And bring it down nice and straight. Since it's a smaller piece, it wants to tend to, move a little bit on you. There we go. That's that part. So the next thing we need is some DSP. So I have a few pieces of DSP here. I think I left an extra one in here that I don't need. So we will go over, and I have some Gorgeous Grape we're going to be mounting it on. So you are going to need the Gorgeous Grape. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 7/8 by 4 1/8. You're going to need 1 piece that is 3 3/8 by 2 1/8, and a piece that is 3 3/8 by 4 1/8. The DSP, these are pieces of the lavender paper, which is not on the retirement list, which I liked. Anyhow, these, you need 2 pieces that are 3 1/4 by 4. You need 1 piece that is 3 1/4 by 4. And then you need 1 piece that is 3 1/4 by 2. And this is why I left this out here. This is 3 1/4 by 2. I cut this wrong. So that meant my flowers would be going the wrong direction. And I left that in there to show you, if your paper's directional, be sure to be mindful of that. That's why I left that there. And while we're going through sizes, this is a piece of white cardstock that is 3 3/8 by 2 1/8. So what we're going to do first is we're going to mount these guys on here. Like I said, all the dimensions are listed below. Make sure I've got that lined up good. I think I've been abandoned. Oop. Straighten that up. Okay, there's those 2 pieces. Just set them over here for a minute. This small one gets mounted on here. Now these 2 pieces, we have to do something very scientific. folding, scoring these is ideal, but I didn't want to give you 30 seconds of score lines, and they're not on our trimmer. So the easiest thing to do is fold the paper in half. And I know this first one's cardstock, and it's, get your corners together, just slowly push it out. Once you get your sides all lined up, which I have right there, then take your bone folder and show it who's boss. Just like that. And we're going to do the same thing with the DSP. Sometimes not having a measurement is easier than having one. Make sure that goes just like that. Okay? Now, this is going to get glued on this right in the center, where you line up the two score lines that you made by folding. Don't go over crazy with the glue. So I'll put that right. I'm lining up those score lines right where the fold is, right in the center. Okay? And then I'm going to take the whole thing and fold it back and burnish it together. Now it's going to make a little buckle there, but it won't hurt anything. Just scoot it out. It's left a little crease, but it's fine. Okay, so we're going to put these on. Make sure if your paper is directional, that they're going the right way. Okay. Okay, this is that white piece we cut, and we're going to put glue on it first, because what we're going to put it in, it needs to go in first. You want to take this, put it right in the center of this piece, but you want to fold this up and make sure we're not impeding the fold, but you want it right to the top. In the center. You can clearly see the center on this, and right to where the fold line is. And then this one is going to go in here, and it will slightly overlap the white, which is fine. This is another way of me doing it without having to give you funky measurements. I hate funky measurements. I don't want to give anybody funky measurements. I'm going to put it right in the center, and then I'm going to take the bottom and line up with these two purple pieces here. So everybody's nice and even. It just goes over ever slightly, but it was easier than, like I said, it would be like 30 seconds or 16ths, and I'm like, I don't want them, and I know you don't want them. Okay, so now we're going to put this on here, and the same thing, we're going to line up the score lines, which is very easy to do. That it lines up perfectly down there, and then I'm going to fold all that together and finish let it drying. That's our piece. Now we're not going to put the placard in here yet. We're going to do that last. First we need to build our bouquet. I'm going to set that off to the side and let it dry. So we're going to start with our base that we embossed. And I'm going to start putting these on. Now, you have to stay inside the framework of your card when you're building this, okay? You can't go too high or too far over. I don't want to build on top of this with glue, okay? So I cut a piece of, I don't remember what color this is. It's retired. Oh, what is it? Anyhow. It's a retired color. And I cut me a card. I have a card base cut out that's 5.5. You could do it out of typing paper too. But what this is, if I build on top of this, I know where I'm at. And I know how far I can go over or not. So I want these to go like this. It's just a guide, and I have guides for different things. It's sometimes easier. I'm just not putting a ton of glue up there because we're going to have it go off the paper. Something about like that. But as you can see, I'm still inside my framework. I'll put this one on the other side. I'm just using a little bit. It doesn't take a ton of glue. And we're going to come in here. And they don't have to be precise. Like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two bouquets and, well, until I drop one on the floor. Hello. And I'm going to glue this here and here, this one here. And I know it's bigger than it's supposed to be, but it's fine. I don't want to wait for glue to dry on these so I can keep on going. So I'm going to use a glue dot. I'm going to put this here. And I'll put one on this one. The reason I'm not putting them together yet is you put them too close to the top, so we'll bring this back in here because it's about like that. If I bring this in here, you see what's happening? If I go too high, I'm going to be off my card. Let's bring this back up here. So I want to go about right like that. I'm just using this whole thing as a guide. Now we'll put this one right about there. And yeah, if we put it all the way to the top, you see what happens? We're out of here. I'm not supposed to put it in the middle either, though. About like that. Now there's a little piece of green sticking out on this. That's what your snips are for. Just come in here and snip off what you don't want. I wanted the stalks to be fuller. There is a single stalk, but I wanted the stalks to be fuller to make the bouquet at the bottom look like everything had a branch, okay? So now we are going to put dimensionals on these two. We're going to use big ones and little ones. You can get a big one down here, but you're going to need a little one in the middle. And on this, you're going to need a couple little ones. I know I said you put a big one there, but I got to get another one out. And I have a smoky hair. Oh, they are shedding something awful this spring. Good thing they both love to be brushed and combed. We joke about how much of a hairball I get out of them every day. We say we got a small kitten. So I'm going to pull this off here. And this card may look different than the first one. You know, you don't always have to lay them out exactly the same. I like making a bouquet. I like doing flower bouquets too, but paper ones are nice. So I want this down here. Once again, I'm looking at my, ooh, I'm gonna have to go down further. To make sure I'm gonna be inside my framework. And I think we'll go and put this one at an angle right about like that. Now we're going to put some sprigs in here. to put this one coming out about like that. Actually, I'm going to put the darker one here, I think. And one little one over here. So I'm still, once again, still looking at my bouquet here. And so I'm going to put a little glue in here, bottom. And I'm going to tuck it right in there. I don't want it coming out too far, but I want it down lower. And this stalk is a little too long for me. So put that in right there, come under that branch. I'm going to cut this one off a little bit too. Don't be afraid to cut something. If it doesn't fit, move it, cut it. And we'll put that there. Now I know these long sprigs are going to need trimmed a little bit. I want the white one first. I want to put the white one behind here. Put a little glue back here. And I'm going to come behind this guy, just lifting up a little bit. And make sure, I'm trying to make him a little fuller and go out a little further than the first one. Like I said, I've got lots of loose little pieces here. Let's take this one here. And we're going to put him about, get him back in my center here. Now I actually am going to take off one of the flowers at the bottom. It's a little longer. Like I said, this won't look exactly like the last one. It'll be similar, but not exactly. Still staying inside my framework. I still think that's going to be a little too high. Hang on. I need a little more glue. And I need to come in here at an angle like that. And this one, we're going to put right through the center here. And make sure it looks like he's coming right out of the stalk there. And I'm putting a little glue on the top here to hook it down. Now, stay. Talk to your work. And make sure your fingers aren't too sticky, which I need to wipe mine off before I get myself in trouble. So this is what we have so far. We're not done yet though. I want some silver picks in this. So hang on for 1 second while I get a little bit of glue off my fingers. I know this video is a little longer because it's a more complicated, thing, but it's worth it because it is so pretty. So if you want to see what it looks like over here, you see I'm staying inside. Oh, yeah, he's still inside my framework there. But we need some picks. And when I'm making picks refers to things that stick out of flower arrangements. I am using, this is the gold and silver 1/8 ribbon. We're using the silver. And I'm going to cut pieces approximately 3 inches, and I want 3 of them. These are very complicated to make. You're going to see that. Cut 3 pieces, grab a glue dot, flick the piece of purple paper off your finger, and take a glue dot. Now this ribbon, if you look at it very carefully, I don't know if you can see it in here, this has a white strip right in the center. This side doesn't. That's the front. This is the back with the white strip. I'm going to put a glue dot right here. I'm just going to tuck the sides up a little bit. Put this side right like that. That's how complicated it is not. And you can do this with any ribbon. Yeah, I've done this before on other projects. Just going to put it right there. There's 2. and 3. Get it out of my fingers. That's sticky because they're sticking off to the side, but that's okay because we're going to stick them in our bouquet now with a glue dot. So I'm going to put this one right about here. So I'm going to put a glue dot on here. And I'm going to tuck it right up in there, about like that. I'm going to grab another one. And I want this one up here in the top. So I'm going to move that a little bit. I got it maneuvering around the glue dots, or the dimensionals in there. And then the third one I'm going to put on the other side. And we're going to put this right up in here. And like I said, you're building your own. You can move things around. You can add more greenery, less greenery. You know, build it the way you want. So we got that so far. Now we're going to put some ribbon on. Yeah, didn't you say I just put ribbon on? We're going to add more ribbon. Because this is an over-the-top birthday card. This is the white and silver trim ribbon. I'm just going to need a little piece here. Scientific measuring, approximately 5 inches. What we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to put some seal down here. Down here at the bottom. Took our ribbon into. And then I'm going to look over here and see where I want it. And I want it right about there. You can go higher or lower, whatever you want. I'm going to stick that in that side. You know, if you don't have these arches, first I think you should get them. But if you don't have the arches, you could use a rectangle. Just use a rectangle instead. You know, you could use anything you want, as long as it fits inside of the frame there. Okay, so we're getting there. Now it's time to mount this on here before we go any further. And you want to mount it so it's just covering up the DSP. And you want only glue on the lower half. So I'm looking at this. I'm going to flip it over. I only want glue here. And I'm going to go right over the ribbon. I want everything to stay in place. So you can go right over ribbon. And then I'm going to line this up in the center. Looking at both sides, covering it up. See how that mat worked really nice to keep everything in where you needed it? Okay. While that's sitting and drying, we're going to make a small bow out of our silver ribbon. Not that big. About like that. I'm not trimming this yet to the size I want. Okay, now I'm going to show you. I want this ribbon to look like it's tied into my bow. So you're going to grab a glue dot. And you're just going to come in here with your ribbon and pinch it together with the glue dot. And it should hold it right there. Sometimes you need two. You see how it looks like it's all hooked together? And then I'm going to come in here with some more, another glue dot or two. This is how to make a fake ribbon, you know, look like it's wrapped around your item, but it's not. put that right where we pulled those two pieces of ribbon together. And we're going to whack off a little of this ribbon here. And to your question, I know you're all thinking, yes, this card takes extra postage, or hand carry it. That's what I'm planning on doing. Okay, but we're not done yet. We need to put our stopper in. And yeah, I've told you guys this before. I really do like to use the sides of the dimensionals for stoppers. Put a flat edge on each side, and it's usually really secure. But any of the dimensionals will work. Just my preference. Okay, now you're going to bend this up to about the level you want it. And then you're going to look. I want it right about there. I'm going to get this out of my way. And then I want to get it centered. Right about there. I'm not pressing it down real hard yet, because I need to make sure it's straight. And it is. Okay. Oh, we're not done yet, though. We need some bling. So I know this is not silver, and I use silver all over this, but we are putting one brass butterfly, little brass butterfly, right in the center here. We are using some of these beautiful gems, and I think I'm going to use the dark ones. These are not going away either. Like I said, everything that is going, I'm telling you. If I don't mention it, it's not. So I'll put those two there. And where did I put the others? I'm going to put a big one up here. I'm going to put a big one here. And I'll put another small one. Oh, I got an empty hole here. We'll put it right there. It's not in the same spot as the last one, but it doesn't matter. Now, right there, it looks gorgeous, but we're not done. I really wanted this to sparkle. So, i.e., I'm grabbing the Wink of Stella. I'm grabbing my pink paper. You guys may remember that from a few days ago. I use it for other stuff. Until I had Wink of Stella right there. I'm gonna put that little too. And I'm gonna start painting. You can lay it down if you want. I tried painting these before, but they're easier to do it afterwards because you get the greenery. And I just want, and I'm picking up some I've got over here. If you do go over, when you go over the pinks, make sure you clean your brush well before you go to the purples, or vice versa. And I'm just lightly putting Wink of Stella. Now, I'm going on to white, so I'll make sure. You might want to do the white and pink first. And then on to the leaves. Okay, now you think that might be enough Wink of Stella for me, but guess what? It's not. I wanted this winked out. I know you can't see all that splatter, but I can. And we're even going to do the inside. I said this was a special card. Yeah, you can even see it on the white now. After it dries, you can write right over it. Got a little extra on the chamber here. This is what I call a over-the-top card for somebody special. And here we go. So that's this one. Now this is the first one I made, and like I said, they don't look exactly the same. The layouts are similar, but not exact, and they don't have to be. If you want more of these stalks in, add more. If you want more of these, add more of these. Whatever you choose to do. So that is the card for today. Thank you for joining me. I know it was a little longer than normal, But everybody have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.